Do you remember October 5th, 2022, when the entire NBA world was watching a random G League Ignite team playing a professional French team on national television to see the top 2 picks of the draft go at it, to the point that the highlights got more views than the NBA Finals highlights? It was a where were you basketball moment that every team was going to tank for these 2 players. Scoot Henderson was in conversations to even be the #1 overall pick. Certain people believed he was more ready for the NBA than Wemby. Scoot was able to score over Wemby and end up winning that game. Victor blew everyone's minds, so when Scoot fell to 3rd in the draft, everyone was shocked and there was outrage. But now, what happened? Scoot Henderson is averaging 12.2 points on 12.1 shots, shooting 36.4% from the field. I understand that the point guard position is the hardest to learn, but even giving leeway for a rookie figuring things out, a 3rd overall pick is supposed to be pretty good right now.
Try!
Especially since he played in the G League. And it's not like he's not getting opportunities. He's playing 27 minutes per game with a usage of 25.7, in line with other rookies. Now, I don't like making these early videos on players, and I'm not doing that here. I hate giving into recency bias. I want every player to succeed. So I held off on this video, but here's the thing. I haven't heard much about Scoot, which is weird considering he's a 3rd overall pick. Think about Evan Mobley, LaMelo, who we definitely couldn't escape, RJ Barrett, Luka, Tatum. Despite the range of talent we've seen at the 3rd pick, one thing was common. We heard about what they were doing in their rookie season. The NBA is ruining young players before they even get to the league. The story is becoming all too familiar, and it's something the NBA wants you to forget. So I'm gonna go through the 3 key pieces in this absurd story and what you need to pay attention to never fall in this trap again. What is up, dudes? So that's Ballers Players. It's your boy MJ. Let's get clear, Scoot is not a bust. He's actually playing much better recently. We are not throwing that word around, but what we are seeing is a fundamental problem with NBA scouting, which is getting pressured by the NBA to promote certain players. And that's piece number 1. The NBA made a new product that is failing but won't admit it. And we'll get to how that is ruining the future of the NBA in piece 3, but first, what is this new product? The NBA started a new program called the G League Ignite in 2020 to allow high school prospects to play in the G League. They're a developmental league to get players ready for the NBA. Now, it's getting hailed as the perfect spot to get ready for the NBA, but we haven't seen a prospect from there become an all-star. These are all the pros that were drafted out the G League, and these specifically were the lotteries. And even though it's a really small sample size, all of them have been head scratchers. Jonathan Kuminga is a freak of nature. He seems to have all the talent and is dealing with some management issues at the Warriors who can't decide to either go young or old. But he also has a super inconsistent shot. He shot 37% from 3 last season, 32.4% this season under 3 attempts a game. But okay, that might not necessarily be entirely up to him with his inconsistency in minutes. Let's move on. Jalen Green was thought to have all the talent, a shot maker that was going to be a superstar. He was even thought to win the dunk contest someday. We all know how that turned out, part of the worst dunk contest ever.
I'm disgusted with him right now.
And he's not a bad player at all, it's just that he's not a star, or taking the leap, or averaging 20 plus points in a league where to be a solid scorer, you need to be at 20 plus, shooting 41% from the field, 31% from 3, and is getting cooked defensively.
Oh, come on, man.
But this video isn't about him. Remember Dyson Daniels, the 8th pick in the 22 draft? Yeah, he's averaging 5.5 points on 44% from the field, 28% from 3, but his defense is there. He just isn't able to get minutes because he's not really good enough offensively, and for an 8th pick once again. That's rough. And now we got Scoot, another guard thought to be a freak athlete. The athleticism is supposed to cover bad shooting and other glaring weaknesses. This might not be much of a discussion if we're talking about a late first round pick, but no, we're talking about a player who was a consensus top 3 pick, meaning we're talking generational strengths. But once again, that's not what we've seen, nor was that what we actually saw in the G League Ignite. The G League Ignite is a developmental team in the G League that's sole purpose is to develop talent. They only play exhibition games, mainly against other G League teams. These games don't really have meaning. It's not like they have a record that they're fighting for a championship, it's more like AAU. Players are just trying to show off and make a name for themselves. Now, AAU has already been damaging US basketball by developing bad habits, not winning basketball. And G League Ignite, in theory, is just a higher level of that. But instead of reevaluating what the results of this program are, the NBA has doubled down. And that's piece number 2. The NBA is trying to create hype even when it wasn't there to begin with. Scoot was also a negative net rating in the G League. But again, that was his first season in the G League, so we sweep that under the rug. He averaged 16.5 points on 42.5% from the field, 27% from 3. While all the mixtapes were showing some amazing finishes fighting through contact with some really good body control, it wasn't consistent. Jalen Green shot 36.5% from 3, nothing spectacular either, yet his scouting report claims he can confidently knock down shots from all 3 levels. In fact, in every scouting report, there was one consistency. All mentioned his ability to score against older players. And if you look at Scoot Henderson, it's the same thing, rarely making major mistakes despite playing at the professional level as a teenager, even though he was averaging 3.4 turnovers a game. This isn't a roast of Scoot, no, it's an attack on how hype is manufactured and how the NBA is tricking the everyday person into believing whatever they want you to believe. And the talent in the G League is not the NBA. Is the talent the same as college basketball? Depends on who you ask. The G League is more mature, stronger athletes. College basketball is more team basketball designed to stop the best players. But if you ever watch the G League, it's a completely different game than the NBA. And what the NBA continues to ignore, which will lead to the biggest issue for all prospects. But to understand, let's look at the G League. Spacing is not great. While teams are shooting a lot of threes, there's not a lot of consistency. Because G League teams have a lot of turnover with rosters, defenses aren't always the best from a team standpoint. Yeah, they may have better athletes in college, but they often have several miscommunications that can allow individual players to thrive without facing well-oiled defensive schemes. It's more ISO one-on-one. And perhaps an underrated missing component of the G League is the lack of environment. How many people are consistently watching the G League? How many sold-out arenas are these players having to perform under? Not dealing with that pressure means that when you get to the NBA, it's a massive change. Again, that's not to say a player can't adapt, but if you're picking a lottery pick, you would want to know that that player can rise to the occasion and have some sample size of high-pressure games with thousands of people watching. For all of you that disregard the bubble because there was no crowd, then you also might disregard the G League. Rather, the NBA will force feed you stats about the size of the G League platform, which is apparently 250 million fans, half of them being outside the US. The funny thing is, you can't even find that same stat for the NBA. Does this mean that the NBA is at like 2 billion? They just pulled it out of nowhere. And if you're tired of being lied to, join the fight with me and subscribe so we can stop this BS. The actual amount of people that tune into G League games is 72,000 people. That's what's reported, versus 1.61 million for NBA games. Scoot's hype was carrying beyond what we were actually seeing, on the pretenses that he was playing above average amongst men. And when you keep saying that over and over again, there's almost a confirmation bias. You start looking for the good and seeing the good instead of objectively looking at what is. So why are all the lottery picks from the G League showing this archetype? Inconsistent play, hyped up beyond belief for being able to play with grown men at a young age. All of them have struggled with efficiency at the next level, taking similar shot selection as they did before the NBA, but unable to muscle in or get to the spots they want. If you're used to only being more athletic, then you're going to struggle heavily in the NBA. And if you're not used to seeing actual defenses, then you have to relearn a lot on the fly, more than the average prospect. So in fact, the G League Ignite doesn't mean you're the most ready prospect. No, it means you're possibly the least ready. It is actually hurting the development of these players. That means there's hope for Scoot, right? Yeah, 100%. But if you're taking his accomplishments and playing a G League as his star potential, then that's misguided. And that's piece number 3. The NBA has set up Scoot and other prospects from the G League up for failure. Today's NBA is all about being able to shoot. And while I don't believe that is the sole factor in determining success, it is a large part of giving a player options. That, or you have such a strong strength that it's better than NBA players. Scoot's comparisons of Russell Westbrook and De'Aaron Fox make sense because here's another athletic point guard. De'Aaron Fox only shot 24% from 3 in college, but Westbrook and Fox were at one point each the fastest player in the league. De'Aaron Fox in his first season was already thought to be faster than Westbrook. Scoot's other comparison, Ja Morant, had a 44-inch pre-draft vertical that still might be underselling it, and was shooting 36% from 3 in college, 81% from the free throw line, enough of a 3-point shot that will still make the defense pay. Remember, Jalen Green shot 36.5%, so Ja was on par with Jalen Green? Not based on the scouting report, but whatever. Scoot stands out athletically for sure, but perhaps not the fastest, bounciest to warrant no shot and the atrocious defense. And now he is under pressure to perform when possibly he shouldn't have had those expectations in the first place. But I think I might prefer being a high draft pick that will get guaranteed opportunity and room to fail than the alternative with absolutely no room. But the biggest issue is still here. The concern doesn't end because what about the next year of talent coming? You have Matas Buzelis and Ron Holland, who are both projected to be in the lottery, along with several other late first rounders from the G League Ignite. And that is scary because I don't know exactly what to believe. I have to dodge NBA propaganda and hope that they succeed in spite of the G League. So now, when Henderson has been a bit AWOL, we didn't really hear that much. Usually you'll get a whole segment from Stephen A. Smith roasting him, but not this time.
What the hell is going on?
And I'm sure when Scoot does play well, hopefully, the NBA media will push him up because Scoot's success is the NBA success, and they have a lot riding on this. The Ignite program was supposed to be an alternative route to college, especially after starting to see bigger name athletes go abroad to play with professional teams. The NBA wanted a piece of the action, hoping to attract more eyes on the NBA as a whole, and the G League has helped certain players get ready for the NBA. Look at Chris Middleton, Pascal Siakam, both who had to ball out in the G League just to get a chance in the NBA. But even Rudy Gobert, who at one point was a raw prospect from France, got sent to the G League to develop, and it worked. Hey, say what you say about Rudy Gobert, but that man won Defensive Player of the Years. It worked.
I am better!
But it wasn't a G League Ignite team. All of them were playing in meaningful games at a professional level. Part of the overall G League, not AAU 2.0, and that's the difference. Even with the greatest facilities, if you're not playing competitive basketball, then you're missing out on a key component of what makes a player successful in the NBA. So let's stop hurting talent and force the NBA to fix their program. Because I don't know about you, but I want to see the game get better and these players reach their full potential. The only notification watch out goes to Big Wiggy, who is here all day. Thanks for the all-day support. If you want to know why we're seeing the end of the NBA as we know it right now, there's a video right here. And if you're still here, you're a real one, so comment potential so I know. It's your boy MJ. We out.